What's up guys, LeopoldTheBrave here, and welcome to another Death Battle video. Now before I say anything else, this isn't a video about fixing Wiz and Boomstick. There's nothing about them that's inherently wrong. In fact, of all the hosts and all the versus shows on the internet, I still think they're the best ones. Usually the originals only walk so the new generation can run, but they've stayed on top the entire time. And although there's nothing bad about these hosts, there are a couple things I think they could do to extend their lead even further. The idea for this video came to my mind upon seeing the reactions of the fans after the release of Kool-Aid Man vs. Macho Man. The YouTube reactions were mostly positive, but the Rooster Teeth reactions were actually a bit more mixed. Some people were quite disappointed that the episode mainly focused on Boomstick more than it did the actual matchup. And that seemed pretty weird in my opinion, because I figured it would be the other way around, where the YouTube audience would be more disappointed that the matchup kept getting interrupted, and the more dedicated fans who actually go to Rooster Teeth to watch Death Battle on its source site would be more excited to see all the neat world building and stuff. Not to mention, in many of the reaction videos for Death Battle, Wiz and Boomstick are barely acknowledged. So why are so many people having trouble connecting to Wiz and Boomstick despite how great they are? What could be done to make them more memorable? Well, I have some ideas, so let's begin. The first way is to give Wiz some backstory too. Throughout the entirety of Death Battle, we've heard all about Mama Boomstick, Boomstick's ex-wife, Boomstick's dad, and so on and so forth, but Wiz has mostly been left out. I mean, occasionally we've heard things like inventions he's been working on since he was young, and his frustrations with the way the world is, wishing it was different because scientists are misunderstood or something, but those aren't really backstories. More just childhood hopes and dreams or whatever. We just still, after 8 seasons, barely know anything about this character. Like, how did he get his robot arm? Did he just take it off and replace it for science? Maybe he briefly mentioned that in an episode or something? Or did some horrible accident happen? And how did he even get into science in the first place? Because his name is Wizard, a title that's pretty much exclusively used for users of magic. I don't know, I just think after 8 seasons, it's finally his turn to get more spotlight. The second way to improve Wiz and Boomstick is to give Death Battle the show a backstory. How did Wiz and Boomstick meet, and why of all things are they doing this show? Wiz is working on or has been working on tons of different crazy inventions. Why does Death Battle seem to be the creation he's most proud of? And Boomstick doesn't care for all the sciencey stuff. He likes the really cool explosions and all the super cool insane weapons. Why did he so casually just hand off his action-filled show DBX to Ringmaster? Wiz and Boomstick acknowledge that Death Battle is a show and they're on it all the time, but they never really talk about what they think of their own program or their own achievements. I mean, the show's 10 years old now, and the only thing we see within the show celebrating that fact is just the 10 years logo over the Death Battle logo. I mean, perhaps the Death Battle timeline isn't moving in real time with our own timeline, so Wiz and Boomstick could have canonically only been doing this for like 4 or 5 years, and that's why they don't acknowledge the 10-year anniversary, but who knows. I just think that in-universe, the existence of Death Battle the show should have a lot more weight. Seeing Wiz and Boomstick connect to and enjoy making the show just as much as we all enjoy watching it would help us relate to them a lot more. The third way to improve Wiz and Boomstick is to give them more investment in the matchup they're discussing. And I don't mean having them each take sides and root for a specific character, because then the show would get too predictable. Like, oh man, Wiz got the last 3 outcomes wrong, Boomstick's bound to lose next time, otherwise it'll get stale. So then when they see who Wiz predicts in the next episode, they'll know who's going to win right from the start. So, none of that. When I say they should have more investments in their matchups, it just means how much it applies to their daily lives. It's a bit difficult to properly articulate what I'm trying to get across, so let me mess around with an existing episode to get my point made. How about Obi-Wan Kenobi vs. Kakashi? You know how each Death Battle opens up with that segment where they briefly discuss a few things the characters have in common when introducing them, like how Obi-Wan and Kakashi are both mentors that still get in on the action? Well, what if instead of that, Wiz and Boomstick had a little skit or casual conversation that led them into the matchup? This is going to be completely on the spot, and Death Battle would likely be able to come up with something better and more interesting, but let's say Boomstick has a dog and he wants to teach it math so it can win a smartest dog contest because the reward is really good or something, and he's bummed out because he's not good at math so he thinks he can't teach it. But then Wiz tries to encourage him, patting him on the back, handing him a standard math textbook, and saying that great mentors don't always have to be able to practice what they teach. And then Boomstick goes, I guess, but it's way cooler when they can, like Obi-Wan. I don't know, just silly stuff like that to connect Wiz and Boomstick more to what they're talking about. Similar to how seeing them enjoy making Death Battle would help us relate to them more, the same would go for seeing them invested in the matchup like we are. The fourth way to improve Wiz and Boomstick is through more character interactions, and they're actually already on a good path towards this one. The only reason I bring it up in this video is so they stay on the path. The introduction of Ringmaster, Dummy, and the return of Jocelyn the Intern have all been fantastic decisions. And having them all cross over and intermingle with each other is even more fantastic. I really did like that arc of DBX where Ringmaster was trying to find the best co-host. And while it is cool that he finally did find someone with Jocelyn, it is going to be a bit sad if this means no more special guests or appearances. So if that's the case, then hopefully they find other ways to have all these characters interact with each other. Maybe even add a couple more new characters in there. Nobody major so the shows don't get cluttered or anything, but having a few brand new faces to interact with would be pretty cool. Perhaps they could have a cameraman and he could act as a stand-in for the audience's confusion or arguments. That way it won't seem like Wiz and Boomstick are just asking questions they already know the answer to because they'll be answering the cameraman's questions. After 100+ episodes of seeing Wiz and Boomstick only talk to each other, it's nice to see them finally expanding their social lives. And the fifth and final way to improve Wiz and Boomstick is also the smallest one, so maybe I shouldn't have included it last, but oh well. It's to update and add more of their personality to their environment. After its first appearance in Mario vs. Sonic 2, Wiz and Boomstick's lab has gotten a couple updates here and there in terms of definition and overall quality. But design-wise, not so much. It's been 3 years at this point and Boomstick still hasn't touched that container of cheese balls on his side of the lab. Is he just trying to age them to perfection? Crunchy. And since when was it established that cheese balls are Boomstick's favorite snack? I guess they're not since he hasn't eaten any. I've seen a bowling ball up there a couple times. Does he like bowling? You see where I'm going with this. Aside from a couple guns on Boomstick's side and the test tubes on Wiz's side, the current lab just doesn't do the greatest job representing and telling us stuff about our hosts. Then there's the fact that before the lab even appeared, Death Battle's entire aesthetic changed, from that red and gray cage match setting with the dangling chains, to more of a purple spray paint neon garage type workshop setting. So if Death Battle's color is now purple, then why is the lab red? Why is it red, guys? Why is the lab red? Anyways, just a little glow up to tell us more about Wiz and Boomstick and freshen things up a bit would be fine. But anyways, those are all the ways I can think of to improve Wiz and Boomstick and help them connect with the audience more. But what do you guys think? How would you change Wiz and Boomstick? Let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. LeopoldTheBrave, out.